Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the He Lives podcast. I'm Alistair McLean, and in each episode, I channel the wisdom of spirit animals. Every animal is an avatar of human consciousness, each performing a unique role in our ascension. I invite you to listen with an open heart and let nature's messages stir the ancient remembrance codes of DNA within you. Welcome.
He lives straight from the heart.
So today's spirit totem is the rabbit, and you might think that the rabbit is something small or minor, but absolutely not. Every animal has its own incredible DNA activation, its own incredible gift. So I'm going to change it around today a bit and introduce this spirit animal differently. I usually do the channeled message first, then the wisdom afterwards, but I think it's more helpful if I explain the power of the animal to you first, so then you can understand how the story describes the gifts in a shamanic sense. Each time I channel an animal, I ask it what its ascension gifts are for embodiment, because they make up part of our DNA, and when we activate that DNA, we receive and unlock those gifts. It's exceptional, and the gifts of the rabbit are truly magical. When I talk about some of these gifts, they may sound trivial or minor. Still, I'm talking on a profoundly spiritual level where I have worked with the animals as if I could shrink myself down to the atomic level and see how they affect my DNA and completely transform who I am on the spiritual plane, and then embody that transformation through integration, because integration brings the inside world, bridges it to the outside world, i.e., life. So, the main gift of the rabbit is manifestation, specifically dream manifestation. So when you look at a the tail of a fluffy bunny, sometimes we think of fluffy clouds like dreams. The rabbit is about the magic of manifesting your dreams. It's picture its fluffy tail like a cloud at sleep time. What is your greatest dream? We always come up with ungrounded dreams, egotistical dreams that don't really tell us who we are. So I journeyed with the rabbit to understand what my greatest dream would be. And it wasn't a car, it wasn't a house, it wasn't lots of money. No, it was me. It's always you. You are what you always needed, wished for, and desired, because you are the greatest dream you could ever be. And you have to pull yourself out of the hat, because life is your stage and life is magical. The warren where rabbits live is the representation of the hat. And when you come out into life, when you pull yourself out of fear and darkness, you become the magical being that you have always been searching for. So there's some incredible metaphors here. So when I asked the rabbit about dreaming, it said this to me: dream big. Dreams are infinite, and they can only die if you forget them. They must be held high in your heart so you never forget them. You must feed them with love by generating love for them, by dreaming about them, to keep them alive. Because just by acknowledging them and giving them attention, they receive your love and grow. Imagine something like this. What if you had a dream so big that nobody would believe you could accomplish it? How would you make it come true? First, you have the idea, the dream, to be the dream, to become the dream. You dream about how it feels to create the dream and how you will receive it, how people will receive it, what it looks like, how it feels, how it sounds, how it tastes, how it smells. You become part of the dream and you make it the future path that you walk towards. When you keep the dream alive within your heart, your soul creates a path and the steps needed for you to make it happen. But if you get distracted from your dream, it dies. Now imagine this. What if your biggest dream is you, the real you, the divine you? A dream that can never die but only grow. That would be a dream worth having, because without you there are no dreams, because you are your biggest dream. So that really gives a different perspective on what humanity desires. We always desire these objects, these things that allegedly are supposed to make our lives happier, but they don't. And when you change the point of view on this, like the rabbit said, and make the dream about you, you can then see that by bringing out your own divinity, your own grounded divinity, by making you your dream, your greatest dream, everything else falls into place. So there we have the first gift of the rabbit, dream manifestation. The second gift is liberation. The rabbit is about life force liberation. Some might say that sexual liberation, but this is often because life force is sexualized, creation is sexualized. The rabbit isn't about sex, it's about fertility, fertilizing your dreams and liberating and manifesting yourself as a magical being in your own life force, turning up as yourself, pulling yourself out of the hat like a magical being, manifesting your divinity into life. When we hear the phrase coming out of the closet, we're often drawn to people who suppress their sexuality, but this is about the purity of who you are by liberating yourself from fear, not the sexual fixations we have on gender and sexual preference. This is apparent in women who are sexualized as playmates for masculine sexual idealization, i.e., the dream woman. Imagine not being able to be totally yourself at all times, to never be afraid of just being yourself in any situation. That's liberation. I mean, you take women, for example, beautiful women. They fear walking down the street at night time because they're afraid of men, and so they're not fully liberated. That's just one example. But true liberation comes from accepting who you are, who you truly are on that divine level. And because of the increasing high levels of new consciousness in these past, you could go back hundreds of years, but let's just say in the past 10 years, people have struggled to deal with their own liberation. And this is where the rabbit comes in. Right now, the shadows, just like all of these spirit animals that I channel and embody, they also have dark and light shadows, which help us evolve past our fears to embody the gifts of love. The shadows of the rabbit are distraction and worry. These shadows are inherently based on the distortions of our beliefs about time. Now, what I've learned on my journey is that the shadows aren't to be avoided because eventually, once you purify them, you can turn them into an advantage. You can change the point of view. For example, if one of the shadows is distraction, you're distracted by fear, you could turn that around so that you are completely focused and no longer distracted by anything. So let's move on to the first one, worry. So the first shadow of the rabbit is about worrying about time. So as you've probably seen in the movie Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit is always holding a pocket watch and is constantly in a rush to be somewhere. Or the story of the tortoise and the hare, where the hare races ahead but gets distracted and ends up losing the race. This is a true embodiment of society living by the enslavement of time, always looking ahead and missing what is already here, what is already present, always rushing to be on time for an appointment, always being in a race against time, which distracts us and puts us in a state of anxiety about what might happen in the future. This is really an existential fear of death. We don't have enough time to live. That's the kind of fear. If you look at it from a rabbit, what if it comes out of its hole and an eagle picks it up and kills it? So it's always worried about time. How much time does it have left? And this is the fear, worry. Worrying about being late or running out of time. This is a profound existential wound for humanity. And adhering to time is toxic. It's a false reality that we slave to. Put the clock away, cancel your appointments, and make time to be here because there is no time, because you are the present, you are the gift. Be so in your body and so in life that you feel the magic of life that is already here inside you. You are the gift you have always dreamed of. The truth behind this gift is the rabbit is a futurist. It thinks ahead to be ahead of its time, but in doing so, it avoids being fully present in its body, always living in the future out of fear of what the future might bring. So, what is the gift of the rabbit with this in mind? It's about living in divine timing, surrendering to the present, and being infinitely present in who you are, and living in the magic of life without fear. This is the core dream of humanity, to live in paradise, fully liberated from fear. In nature, rabbits are known for being fast to run into their holes out of fear of being eaten by predators and hiding underground. This fear translates to always living in darkness inside our homes, distracted by screens, watching others who have made their dreams a reality in the comfort of their own homes, afraid to come out into the light of life, afraid to come out of ourselves to be seen in our own magnificence. So the rabbit, with that force of liberation, helps us overcome worry. Now let's move on to the second one, distraction. Distraction is what causes us to divert away from creating our dreams. In the film, in the movie The Matrix, Neo is told to follow the white rabbit. This is a metaphor for going down a rabbit hole, just like in Alice in Wonderland, which refers to getting deep into something or ending up somewhere strange. Following rabbit holes is often a distraction, however, it depends on where you are digging. Are you digging deeper into the caverns of your heart, or are you digging deeper to escape your life, digging in the wrong direction? For example, following the rabbit hole of flat Earth or the fake moon landing, what does it accomplish in the end? It only accomplishes one thing. It distracts so many men from creating their dreams. Think of all the time you waste putting that energy into something that doesn't serve your higher purpose. That's why they put that stuff out there, to distract us. Another distraction is sex. Look at the movie Roger Rabbit. He's so in love with the sexual prowess of Jessica Rabbit that he becomes a complete mess, a bumbling mess, and all the men around him. Men are so distracted by women that they forget who they are. This is the power of sexual liberation. Women are more liberated in their hearts than men, and this leads to great power. But that is often taken advantage of in today's society, as I said earlier, by being sexualized, which essentially is enslavement. These are, by the way, these are core wounds of humanity. These are go back a long time, and they're very powerful to look at through the lens of purity without judgment. However, the core of distraction itself is about time, specifically the future and the past. Distracted by time, thinking about the past creates depressive fear. Thinking about the future creates worry. Trying to be on time, rushing to be somewhere, all of which creates impatience, which leads to mistakes. Trying to be on time or in time creates the distortion that you're not constantly recreating yourself in every moment. Now, this is very profound. To be stuck in the past is stagnation. It does not allow you to move forward. And being future thinking all the time creates the impatient that it needs to be completed now instead of just enjoying the present time you have now. The antidote? Trust in divine timing, because there is no time like the present. This is the key to immortality, because time cannot touch you if you are constantly dying and being reborn in every moment. Remember, I said about the fear of death. There are parts of us that are dying all the time and parts of us that are being reborn. This is the key to immortality, because time cannot touch you if you are constantly dying and being reborn in every moment. So let me explain that. So if you live outside of time, that means you are not living in the past and you are not living in the future, which means you're living in the present. Now, the present is a moment that constantly changes in every moment, which means if you are only living in the present, you cannot live in the past or the future, which means in every single moment, you are dying and being reborn. And this is the key to full activation of the divine soul, the complete release of control, living in complete alignment with your soul. That is immortality. So that's a pretty profound message that I've discovered on my journey through working with the rabbit, but also with the gene keys as well, and loads of other, gosh, so much um, gold that I've gathered over the years through working with spirit, through working in divine union with my partner Hazel, the gene keys, and the I Ching as well, which is the original. Now I'm going to move on to channel the story of the rabbit. So stories are shamanic. They tell a powerful message of medicine. And this is why when I channel these spirits, they always want to come through and tell me a story. So now I will channel the rabbit. These spirit animal totems appear to me as my ancestors, and these stories weave the past into the present, revealing a larger tapestry which connects us all. Each tale is an act of remembrance, a ritual of embodiment, both a spiritual transmission and a reflection of my ascension journey. So sit back and relax and try to receive this as a transmission. I welcome my ancestors now as I welcome the spirit of the rabbit. Hello, it's that time again. What time is it, you may ask? It's story time. And today I tell a story about the life of two wandering playmates who loved each other very dearly. His name was Perseverance, but we will call him Percy for short, and her name was Calendra. Percy was a practicing magician from a very young age. He was a born magician. He loved to play tricks on people, magic tricks, not to fool or to hurt, but to amaze, to see the delight of their faces alight in a blaze of glory and wonder. You see, Percy was a man who loved everyone, and each day he would go home to master and learn new magic tricks. The joy it brought him in his heart to see people's eyes light up as they witnessed pure magic manifest right before their eyes used to light up his dreams when he slept, and by morning he had a new inspiration to create with. When he was just a teenager, he was walking along the beach, and a woman caught his eye, so much so that he walked into a lamppost. Once he came to, he looked over and he saw her. Her dark hair swept to one shoulder, with eyes and a smile that melted his heart. I must meet her. I may never get another chance, he thought. He was walking past an ice cream stand when he saw her. He knew he had to get her one. It was a bright sunny day after all. He walked up to the ice cream van and ordered one vanilla and one chocolate ice cream, and he immediately walked over to her. She was sat on a bench watching the seagulls dressed in black and white. Hi, I'm Percy. I've got spare ice cream. I thought you might like it. Chocolate or vanilla? For me, she said. She blushed as he looked into her eyes. Yes, I would be delighted if you would accept, he said. I'll have the chocolate, please, she said. He passed her the ice cream and they both began to enjoy it while sitting on the bench. He had never met her before, yet she seemed so familiar to him. Want to see a trick, he said. What kind of trick? How about I show you something you've never seen before? How about this? Place out your arm and I'll draw a picture and place it in your palm. Okay, she says. She places out her palm while eating her ice cream with the other, paying close attention to his hands. He draws a seagull on a piece of paper, holding a bag of crisps. Then he waves his pencil like a wand around the picture and whispers in her ear, Alakazam. What is it? She says. Just sit back and watch, he said. She looks puzzled and then she hears a commotion in the shop behind them. A seagull had just stolen a bag of crisps and flown off with it. How did you do that? She said. Magic, he says. They laugh together and the sound of waves take over as they sit with smiles on their sunny faces. What do you suppose it all means? Percy says. What do you mean? She says. Life. Oh, well, that's what I'm trying to find out, you see. I'm an artist, she says. I paint the life inside of me to understand the life outside of me that I wish to live. You see, when I paint, when I create, when I sing, the expression of who I am on the inside, I become the art. So when I express the art of who I am from within to the hearts of whoever wishes to listen, they see that expression of my life. Wow, he said, you can sing as well. You must be very talented as well as beautiful. They looked at each other in a moment, as if they were born to be together. But in that moment they were interrupted, and she was taken away. I'm sorry, I have to go. I'm needed, she said. It was lovely to meet you, Percy, and thank you for the ice cream. I'll never forget it. I'm here at the theatre tonight. Come and see me. And then with a cherished smile, she says, Goodbye. But I never got your name. She was already out of earshot, and she was gone. That night he tried to get into the theatre, but they were sold out. His heart ached for days, weeks, months, and years afterwards. I should have asked her for a name, he kept drilling into his mind. Decades later, Percy had become so well known for his magic tricks that he had finally been noticed. He had been invited to show them on the stages of London. He had been performing in theatres for some time now, but now he was about to hit the big time, about to get his big break. He was extremely nervous, and that was when it happened. He walked into the famous theatre stage entrance that he was performing at, and as he was being shown to his room, a woman dressed in purple and white walked past him and glanced at him with a smile. Percy turned his head as he saw a white fluffy tail poking from her purple gown. The person guiding Percy to his stage room had stopped to show Percy they were here, but he walked straight into him and dropped all of his cases on the floor. Were you distracted? He said. Who was that? I'm sure I recognize her, he asked in a trance. Ah, you've caught the eye of our star performer, Calendra. Her stage name is Nana Bozo. She is something else. She'll be on after you. Anyway, you must be ready at 8 o'clock. I will come calling for you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got. See you soon. Percy moved all of his things into his stage room, but he could not exit his trance. He was left stunned, sitting on a chair in his dressing room. Was that the girl I shared my ice cream with years ago? He thought. She looked magnificent. I don't stand a chance of being worthy. She's so more beautiful now. But I must persevere. He looked at the theatre poster on his wall, and there she was in bold letters. Nana Bozo, the great oracle, with a picture of a glowing blue and white angelic-looking woman with the writing, a walking piece of art. Come and see the great Nana Bozo perform at the Theatre of Dreams. She was a performer, an oracle, and a grand artistic beauty like no other. She was a walking piece of art which drew the gaze and attention of all who witnessed her perform. She sang with a voice like mountains and rivers of caramel that flowed like golden magma. He paced around the room. Oh no, I don't have the time to prepare. I must be ready for my performance. He kept checking his watch. He tried repeating his tricks over and over, but nothing was working, because all he could think of was Calendra. Is that really her? Is that really her name? What if I fall over? What if I get my tricks wrong? What was he to do? He went to look for her. He searched the backstage area, but everyone was so busy that it was impossible to even gain the attention of anyone. He was about to walk back, and then he heard a voice like a lark singing the most beautiful melody. He looked up to the rafters and saw a woman wrapped in purple aerial silks, hanging, spinning, and making tremendous acrobatic movements in the air. It was her. He could not speak to her. She was practicing her act. I must prepare a great act, he thought. Then she will remember me. He ran back to his stage room and concocted a plan. He could not stop thinking of her. Over and over he practiced to get his focus back in the game. It was his big night. He could not fail. He couldn't be distracted. He played with many tricks, pulled doves from his wrist and threw cards around the room, catching them in his mouth. But these were too small to impress her, he thought. He must think of something grand. And then he remembered. There was a trick he performed several years ago, a grand trick, that he was never able to perfect. He tried it in front of an audience when he first started out, but it failed, and the audience laughed at him. The humiliation stopped him from practicing it again. And so it came to him. I know what I must do. I will perform the magic trick, a magic trick like no other. I will pull myself out of the hat. I will pull out the will and the courage to be myself so that she will know who I truly am. It was time. It was 8 o'clock. Calendra was the main act on stage, and everyone was there to see her. So nobody knew what Percy was about to bring to the show. He was there as a supporting act to warm everyone up, to keep people engaged and bring wonder to their faces. But Percy had something bigger planned, something they would never forget. He needed only one ingredient. Where is it? He kept shouting to himself, turning out all his pockets, outfits, and cases. I need to find the stone, he said. I've only got 5 minutes till I'm on stage. Where is it? He had gotten himself in a muddle. He was worried now. If only he had known it was on him the whole time. It was 8 o'clock and Percy ran to the stage, distressed and distracted about the crystal and Calendra. He is introduced with applause and a grand welcome and walks out onto the theatre stage in his tuxedo, wearing his hat. My name is Perseverance, and I'm here to grant you an evening you will never forget. He bows to the crowd and then mysteriously places his hat on the floor in the centre of the stage. As he was lowering his hat to the floor, he saw it. He had forgotten that he had hidden his magical crystal in the hat, and he started to feel at ease. Then he spoke to the audience. Tonight I will perform real magic, magic that has not been seen in millennia. Tonight I will pull myself out of the hat. The audience members looked puzzled as they sipped on their cocktails, eager to see more. Where was this going? They wondered. Percy waved his wand over the hat and then ran around the hat 3 times in one direction and 3 in the other. He did cartwheels around the hat and somersaults and backflips. All of this was part of the magic, he said, as the audience laughed and applauded. Then out of the hat some small sparks started to flutter into the air like party sparklers, and the audience began to laugh. Oh no, it's not working, he muttered to himself. Then it came to him. He had been so distracted and worried about being late the whole time that he had forgotten all he needed was himself, not the crystal. There is no time, he said. There is no time like the present. And as he said that, he then hopped into the hat and was swallowed whole as the hat twirled and spinned on its edges. And when it finally landed, it was still facing upwards, and all the lights in the theatre went off, except the neon blue strip that surrounded the stage. The audience gasped, paralyzed with shock. Silence bestilled the theatre. Nobody is sure what to do. Do they clap? No, they just look aghast at each other, speechless. What just happened? They said. Calandra and the other backstage members were captivated by the energy and the noise of his performance. She walked to the stage as she was just finishing applying the makeup to her eyelashes, and then she saw him. She watched intrigued from the sides in wonder. She saw many other backstage staff watching in wonder as well, as light filled the stage and shone onto the faces of the audience with eyes wide and fixed on Percy. Then it begins to happen. Slowly, some small crackles of light start to appear within the hat. A thin laser beam of golden light bursts out of the hat, straight upwards. The energy in the theatre becomes grand and static. Silence grips the audience as the hair on their bodies begin to stand straight, gripping tightly to their chairs with anticipation. A divine energy arrives in the room, a stillness. Everyone unable to move, unable to speak, completely focused, still fixated on the hat. The light coming out of the hat becomes larger, and more colours begin to slowly pour out, like a river of colour flowing through the theatre. It touches everything, and the theatre itself begins to come alive. Kalendra, shocked, holds her hands over her gasping mouth. With the theatre manager standing on the opposite side, she mouths to him, "Where is he?" she asks, receiving a shrug of the shoulders in response. Then, in the silence, the hat starts to shake and rattle on the wooden stage floor. Sparks and fireworks begin to fire from the hat in all directions. Then slowly, a white-gloved hand pops out of the hat and waves to the audience. The hand drops back into the hat and pulls out some rabbit ears. And slowly but surely, Percy pulls himself out of the hat, covered in golden energy. He did it. Everyone's silence, everyone's jaw had dropped to the floor. The more he comes out of the hat, the more he starts to see he has wowed the crowd. He pulls his feet out one at a time back onto the stage and places the hat on his head. And as he does so, all of his clothes turn gold and white. The theatre is silent, still in shock. The theatre manager is the first to clap to get the audience out of their hypnosis. Kalendra's jaw still wide open and begins to clap too, and one by one the audience erupts into rapturous applause. White roses are thrown onto the stage. He picks them up into his hat and he bows to the crowd. He carries the roses to Kalendra and hands them to her one at a time. "These are for you. Now do you remember me?" In that moment, Kalendra remembers. "Oh my gosh, it's you, Percy!" The curtains fall and the crowd is in celebration and discussion. Everyone is celebrating the show. "I'm on next, but let's catch up afterwards," Kalendra says, as she walks with Percy back to her dressing room. "I'll be watching," Percy says. It is now the final performance where Percy's real dream is about to come true, as the woman of his dreams walks onto the final stage performance. The lights dim, the theatre silent. Then the lights come on, in sapphire blue tones. Candles are lit in a circle on the stage, and the music roars as the curtains are lifted. She walks onto the stage. With complete command, she has captivated the audience, wearing a dark purple dress like velvet, dragging for what looks like miles behind her. The audience instantly gaze. She climbs a piece of velvet hanging from the ceiling as she dances over the candles. The velvet caresses the flames of the candles as she swings from the rafters and catches fire. The crowd gasp and point as the flames travel upward, and then she explodes into hundreds of blue butterflies as they fly through the audience, and the flaming sash falls to the stage unscathed as if it never happened. The set goes dark, and then the butterflies form again on the stage like a tornado. 1,000 butterflies spin round and round at speed in the centre of the candles, and within moments she reappears, now dressed in a deep blue dress with bright blue sapphire drapes over her arms, dragging from behind her, almost floating in the air. The crowd applaud wildly as she dances and sings in the sky, shining brighter than a blue sapphire diamond. Percy appears on the stage to meet her at the end of her performance. He holds her hand while the crowd throw roses to her. He turns to her and says, "What about that drink?" And Kalendra says, "Well, there's no time like the present." And poof, they disappear from the stage, leaving the crowd go wild with rapturous applause. The end.